all the young spirits. We are back with another very important topic in our series called Youth and the Truth. Why I call it this series as Youth and Truth? Because today's youth in India, they are, after a lot of qualifications, after a lot of experiences, even after a lot of studies, they are very much confused where to go, where to join. So just to address these confusions, this particular series is targeted to erase the confusions in the minds of the young. That is what the series is all about. So we have already talked on many topics, and today we are going to talk about a very important topic, which is most searched word in the Googles. That is called the unemployment, particularly in India. As you know, in 2024, unemployment rate as per the Ministry of Labour is 3.2% in India, out of which the urban unemployment stands at 6.4% and rural is 2.5%. So unemployment is a very huge concern for everybody, for the policymakers, for the bureaucrats, for the teachers, for the parents, all the peer groups, and obviously the students. So what government, being an IAS officer, with my many years of domain expertise, I would like to speak a little bit about that, how we can address this unemployment in today's India. Before we start, let me introduce myself, that I am Dr. Partha Sarathi Mishra. I am an IAS officer by profession. I am a civil servant. And after many years of service, I am also now looking after as a professor of practice in some universities. I am also the advisor to the Center for Incubation Innovation in Utkal University. I am into skill development. I am into many areas where I can give a lot of expert consultancy and advice. So my dear friends, why unemployment is so much in India, in spite of all our efforts? As I will quote the Spanish philosopher, Jose Gasset, he says that unemployed is a negation of life more than the death. If you are eligible and if you are not employed meaningfully, then it is painful than the death. That is what he says. And eventually it not only affects you, it affects your family, it affects the economy of the country, and eventually we all suffer. So Government of India in its and state governments usually, they have designed and planned and formulated many schemes for addressing this entire unemployment scenario. Now let us come to Indian context. In Indian context, essentially, employment can be in three areas. The one is the government sector, the second is the private sector, and third is the self-employment sector. So as all of us know that that government sector, the opportunities are very, very, very limited, because it is a very competitive examination and very few appointments happen every year. So, and the process is very cumbersome. It takes a year and two to be employed and all. And government in all the there's a class 1 services, there are class 2 services, there are class 3 services, and class 4 services for the. So all government employments are competitive and it can absorb the unemployment to some extent. I mean, it is not that it can absorb. The second category is the private sector, which is also depends on how industrially or agriculturally you are developed. Accordingly, the private sector is equally important. It can absorb all the unemployed youth of the country. So in the private sector, there are multinationals, there are transnationals, there are small business communities, there are SMEs, there are innumerable are there. So they also provide a lot of employment. So, and that can also capture a bit of a major part of the unemployed India. Now the last is how a person can be self-employed. Our focus today's discussion is that how can somebody will be self-employed? Now, if you look at India's growth story, now Indian government has very, very meticulously, they have planned out that from Atmanirbhar Bharat to Vikasit Bharat in 1947, there is a complete roadmap. In this roadmap, there are milestones how the young can be employed and how in how they can best be utilized in the growth of India. And that means that they need to be self-employed. And government has given a huge number of schemes. The first important factor is that in 2024, government has floated a scheme called PM Internship. PM Internship is one scheme where the students who are young and just passed out up to from 18 years to 24 years, they can be employed as an intern in many of the companies of that area, and they will get 5,000 per month and a 6,000 lump sum. But the fact is that the kind of experience and expertise they will get from that company, that will give him a lot of employability status. That is what the idea is. So another scheme is called PM India. So these are the schemes where government focuses on skill development. Government says that, look, the new education policy of 2020 has given you the complete freedom that you can come, join and exit. So a student who doesn't want to join the government sector, who doesn't want to join the private sector, he wants to be self-employed, government has given a lot of schemes, lot of innovative innovation centers where he can push his ideas. And for that, he needs infrastructure. For that, government has given a lot of schemes. If you go to the government initiatives, lot of mudra loan, lot of incentives from agriculture sector, industrial sector, SME sector, industrial policy. You can always get a lot of subsidies from the government to be self-employed. And if you want to start something new, you must have seen in the many of the areas MBA chai wala. Why? What is this? You can find an engineer is running a small business, a small garments or something. So all innovations, because it is all question of being employed meaningfully. If the country is need to grow, then employment has to be generated in a proper platform. That is how it is done. Because government sector and private sector are not enough to absorb the kind of students who are passing out every year. So, and many students are dropouts. That's why the new education policy are giving him you can join, you can exit, you can join again. So every year you get a certificate. So now the focus is that how best you can be skilled, how best you are digitally sensitized, how best you can utilize what you have, and that makes you a perfect young man or woman in India who can be employed. So our small, very limited point in this session is that all the youngsters, that you try for government sector, you try for private sector. Most importantly, don't think that if you don't be absorbed as per your qualifications in both the sectors, you can always be absorbed yourself very, very meaningfully in self-employment schemes, which our government is promoting like anything. The government is giving all incentives, all infrastructure, all advice, all consultancy, both infrastructural support, all financial support, subsidies, and market-linked, incentive-linked schemes have been launched. So all these are there. So thank you, gentlemen. In our next session, maybe in detail, I can tell you how a person can go about it. So don't worry. The catchword is don't worry. Even if you are unemployed, even if the ghost of unemployment is hunting you, forget it. Because there are multiple options. And India is now a state where employment is a possibility. It is no longer a dream. If you have the right passion, you have the gel, you have the ability, you are employed. Thank you very much. I hope this small advice or small suggestion can give you a lot of moral boosting for trying your best to be meaningfully employed. Thank you.